War is one of humanity's oldest companions and greatest tragedies. It has shaped civilizations, drawn borders, destroyed empires, and rewritten history time after time. Yet even with all our progress in technology, diplomacy, and global cooperation, war continues to appear in different corners of the world. This raises a painful and important question: why do wars start? What drives entire nations toward conflict? What turns political tension into violence and suspicion into bloodshed? To understand war, we must understand that wars almost never begin for a single reason. They are the result of many pressures building over long periods of time. Political ambition, economic need, cultural divisions, fear, pride, and sudden triggering events all combine until conflict becomes unavoidable. War is not created by one spark. It is created by a field of dry grass, rising heat, strong winds, and a neglected flame that eventually spreads beyond control. Let us explore these causes with depth and clarity. Here is how societies drift toward conflict and why humanity repeatedly finds itself on the battlefield. The human roots of war. At the deepest level, war is driven by human psychology. Fear, pride, desire for security, ambition, anger, and insecurity shape the decisions of leaders and nations. One of the most powerful forces pushing countries toward war is fear, especially the fear of invasion or loss of power. When a nation feels threatened, whether the danger is real or imagined, it begins to prepare for defense. It strengthens its army, builds alliances, increases military spending, and trains for the worst-case scenario. This creates a dangerous situation known as the security dilemma. One nation's attempt to feel safe makes its neighbors feel unsafe. Those neighbors respond by building more weapons, which triggers even more fear. Imagine two neighbors sharpening weapons, not because they want to fight, but because they are frightened of the other. This fear-driven preparation can create the very war they hoped to avoid. Before World War I, European countries were trapped in this cycle. Each nation prepared for defense, but the result looked like preparation for attack. Suspicion replaced trust, and fear turned into action. Human nature also contributes through ambition. Throughout history, leaders have sought glory, territory, and lasting legacies. Emperors, kings, generals, and modern politicians have often gambled with war in the hope of securing their place in history. Sometimes wars begin because a leader miscalculates. They believe victory will be quick or assume the enemy is weak. Overconfidence has started countless conflicts. Pride is another fuel. Nations, like individuals, do not want to appear weak. When insulted, challenged, or accused, leaders may choose violence simply to protect their image or national reputation. When pride becomes stronger than reason, compromise becomes impossible. A small insult can grow into a large conflict. Power, politics, and the fight for political power is another driving force behind war. Nations compete for influence, territory, strategic advantage, and global standing. When these ambitions collide, tension rises. Powerful countries want to shape international affairs in their favor. They want valuable trade routes, friendly allies, natural resources, and military strength. When nations pursue these goals at the same time, conflicts emerge. Some governments use diplomacy, but others turn to force. History is filled with wars where one country tried to expand its borders or weaken a rival. Ideology makes political conflict even more dangerous. Different political systems, such as democracies, monarchies, empires, and authoritarian governments, often view each other with suspicion. During the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union saw each other's ideology as a threat to survival. Neither side wanted direct war, yet they avoided allowing the other to gain power. This resulted in proxy wars across Asia, Africa, and Latin America, where smaller nations became battlegrounds for superpower struggle. Nationalism is another powerful political force. When people believe their nation is superior, chosen, or destined for greatness, it can justify aggression. Leaders can use nationalism to rally their people behind war. Extreme nationalism makes compromise feel like betrayal. This emotional pressure has pushed many countries into conflict, even when peaceful solutions existed. Diplomacy fails when leaders refuse to communicate or misunderstand each other's intentions. Miscommunication, political pressure, and lack of trust can break negotiations. Once diplomacy collapses, war becomes increasingly likely. When leaders stop talking, soldiers start marching. The economic drivers of war. Economics also plays a major role. Nations fight for resources like water, oil, minerals, fertile farmland, and trade routes. As populations grow and industries expand, competition for resources increases. When countries fear shortages, they may attempt to secure resources through force. Conflicts over rivers, oceans, fertile lands, and oil fields have shaped global history. Control of resources can mean economic survival, which makes nations willing to take risks. Economic crises can also push governments toward war. When a country faces unemployment, inflation, or hunger, leaders sometimes turn external conflict into a distraction. War can unite a divided population by giving them a common enemy. Some governments have tried to solve economic problems through expansion or conquest. Although dangerous and often disastrous, this strategy has been used many times. Trade disputes and sanctions can escalate into conflict. When one nation blocks another's access to essential goods, it may create desperation. Desperate nations often take aggressive steps to secure what they need. History includes many wars started because a country felt cornered economically. Social and cultural tensions, social and cultural divisions also contribute to war. Religion, ethnic differences, cultural identity, and historical grievances can all create tension between groups. Religion itself does not cause conflict. Human interpretation and political manipulation do. Leaders often use religious identity to justify political goals. Sacred sites, holy lands, and religious symbolism can turn political disputes into emotional battles where compromise feels impossible. Ethnic tension is another major trigger. When different ethnic groups live in the same territory but do not share equal power, resentment grows. Long-term discrimination or unfair treatment can create anger. If peaceful solutions fail, groups may turn to violence. Many civil wars began because entire communities felt ignored, mistreated, or threatened. Cultural identity can divide societies when one group fears being erased or dominated by another. Leaders often inflame these fears to strengthen their own power. When people believe their cultural survival is at risk, conflict becomes more likely. Social injustice is also a powerful motivator. When people face oppression, inequality, corruption, or lack of freedom, they may rise up. Revolutions, rebellions, and civil wars often come from long periods of frustration that eventually boil over. Triggers and mistakes that ignite war, even when tension is high. War does not begin automatically. It often requires a trigger. These triggers are sudden, emotional, and powerful events that escalate existing tensions. Assassinations are one of the most famous examples. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in 1914 triggered the chain reaction that led to World War I. The deeper causes already existed, but the assassination activated alliances and mobilizations that quickly spiraled out of control. Mistakes can also start wars. Miscommunication between armies, false intelligence reports, or misunderstood actions can create panic. A radar glitch, a misfired weapon, or an unexpected military drill can be interpreted as an attack. When nations are tense, even small mistakes can have enormous consequences. Border clashes frequently escalate as well. A small fight between patrols becomes a political issue. One side retaliates to show strength, the other answers with greater force. Soon, both sides are caught in a cycle of escalation that neither planned. The desire to save face, to avoid appearing weak, often prevents leaders from backing down. They choose escalation to protect their national image or political career, which can turn a minor incident into a major war. Modern warfare and new causes. Modern technology has created new ways for wars to begin. Conflicts today can start without traditional invasion or direct violence. Cyber warfare is one example. Countries can hack power grids, banks, communication systems, and military databases. A cyber attack can cause massive damage without a single gunshot, because it is often unclear who launched the attack. Retaliation can happen based on suspicion rather than certainty. Information warfare is another modern threat. Propaganda, fake news, and online manipulation can turn societies against each other. Social media can fuel hatred, nationalism, or fear. When entire populations believe they are under threat, pressure builds for governments to act aggressively. Proxy wars are more common than direct confrontations between powerful nations. Instead of fighting each other, major countries support local armies or rebel groups in smaller nations. These conflicts last longer and involve multiple players, making peace extremely difficult. The chain reaction that leads to war. When we look across history, a clear pattern appears. Wars follow a chain reaction. Long-term tensions increase. Political ambitions clash. Economies struggle or compete for resources. Nationalism or identity conflicts intensify. Diplomacy becomes weak or collapses. A sudden trigger event occurs. Leaders miscalculate or refuse to back down. Escalation becomes unavoidable. War often surprises even those who start it. Leaders expect quick victory, but war develops a momentum of its own that destroys both plans and expectations. Can war be prevented? Understanding why wars begin is the first step toward preventing them. War is not destiny. It is the result of human choices, political systems, and social conditions. Reducing war requires strong diplomacy, clear communication, and trust building. Nations must address long-term injustice, share resources fairly, and work together to solve global problems. Cultural exchange and economic partnerships can reduce suspicion by creating shared interests. Leadership is crucial. Wise leaders understand the dangers of fear, pride, and miscalculation. They choose conversation over violence, patience over panic, and compromise over confrontation. Peace is not simply the absence of war. It is the presence of understanding, fairness, communication, and trust. By studying the roots of war, humanity can learn how to prevent it and build a future where conflicts are solved through words rather than weapons.